We have a jam-packed session for you this morning here. We're going to go to about 12:30 here. So just some great information I want to share as we go through June 10th as well. And we're going to also be broadcasting this for the very first time on the Let's Win Financial YouTube page live, and then also too on our Let's Win Financial group page as well. And so we're just going to be getting started here in just another minute or so to give just a few more people to come in. It's going to be recorded as well. We're going to have it on the recorded back on the YouTube page as well. But this is a day of celebration, guys, as far as our ancestors and what they fought for. And so we're going to go into some details and how the topic for today will be how we can avoid to continue to be or avoid slave to the dollar. That's what we are today. And so we want to get away from that. And we're going to talk about that today in itself here. So just give me a few more minutes here. I'm going to stop the video here and we're going to have the session here shortly here. So just give me just 30 more seconds and then we're going to be starting.
Recording in progress.
Okay, guys. So we're gonna go ahead and start the session here today. So I want to say happy Wednesday to everyone. And again, guys, this is a day of celebration. So I'm so excited to celebrate that now. June 10th is actually a federal holiday in itself, right? And so got some great information I want to share here, which is for us the history of June 10th and why are we still in actually slavery today? It might not actually be slavery when it comes to the modern day chains, but we're going to be talking about what is actually keeping us in slavery today in itself. All right. So we're going to go ahead and get started and we're going to go right into it. Right. We're going to go right into it. As Derek says that, hey, look, NVIDIA is on fire. Thanks for helping us in the portfolio. Thank you for that, Derek. And it's an honor and a pleasure to serve you guys in this capacity as a certified financial educator. And so to help you grow in your finances here. All right. So June 10th, guys, here's our subject for the day, right? Avoiding to be slave to the dollar here. So let's talk about this here. When we think about slavery, right? And we think about this here, June 10th. Today we celebrate the end of legal slavery in the United States, right? It's the promise of the freedom. But June 10th, right? What is it also called, right? You can unmute. Can anybody tell me between June 10th, right here, what is it also called? Emancipation Day, Lincoln Day, African American Day, Slavery Free Day. You can unmute, and out of these four here, take a wild guess here. What would you guys also? What do we also call June 10th? Any guesses? Any guesses? You can unmute. All right. So everybody being shy. So we're gonna continue to go on here. So actually, it's called Emancipation Day, right? It's also called the Emancipation Day as far as June 10th in itself. All right. Now, when we also go in here, we want to also like which state was the first state to establish June 10th, right? So we got Alabama, Georgia, Texas, and Mississippi. And most people will probably say maybe Alabama, right? Because that was pretty
I
much
thought
where
it
a
was
lot of
Texas.
slavery. Oh, okay. Who answered Texas?
That was me, Derek. I think it's Texas.
Okay, Derek, you are absolutely right. Texas was the first state to establish June 10th. So great job on that, Derek. Great job. All right. Next question here for June 10th. Which president signed the Emancipation Proclamation? You know that one, Derek?
I mean,
Which president?
it's Lincoln, Abraham Lincoln.
Wow, Derek, you know your history here, man. Abraham Lincoln in itself was the first one to sign the Emancipation Proclamation. Great job on that. All right, last question here. First Emancipation Proclamation made on, right? This one here was September the 22nd, 1862, right here, right? But we actually celebrated here June 10th, for it's the day that slavery ended on June the 19th. Guys, here's the reason why we're having this conversation today, right? It's because our ancestors, they actually fought in particular for these exact reasons right here, right? Negroes for sale, right? I think about my parents when they were in school, when they were in a couldn't necessarily go into just a general public bathroom or what we're facing today and having to go into a black bathroom separated by a white bathroom. And then we go right here and we look even further behind my parents when we had their ancestors actually slaves, right, in the fields. When you go right here and you look, 25 field hands trained at the hoeing, chopping, right, thrashing. All right, you got this is 18 women, eight with future insurance, all house trained, clean cooking, iron, making beds. Like our ancestors fought for little or nothing. I mean, it even got to the point of you looking at girls, right? So this was not just adults, but it was the kids as well. And this is something that guys that I wanted to come in. I just want to speak on this today because this is a very important topic in itself because we celebrate slavery as if we're free, but in all actuality, we're not actually free in itself because our ancestors fought too hard for us to continue to be in slavery today. And so when we look at this here, our modern day slaves are not in chains, they're in debt. Think about that. Our modern day slaves are not in chains, but they are in debt. We're in debt to bill collectors. We're in debt to MasterCard. We're in debt to Visa card. We're in debt to the our car payments. We're in debt to ourselves for our decisions that we make that actually put us behind to where we can't pay our bills, where we get behind on our bills, where we live paycheck to paycheck, right? So when it goes back to here, as far as things that allow us to not do what we want to do, is the same as far as with these Negroes for sale. Many people today can't necessarily go out and do what they want to do because they're waiting on a paycheck till Friday. Or if so, they're using a credit card that's further prohibiting them to do what they want to do in the future because we're using our future dollars on something that we want to actually do by putting it on a credit card, something we want to avoid, right? So debt is one of the main things that's actually killing us when it comes to we look at modern day slaves. We go right here and we look at Proverbs 22:7. It tells us that the borrower is the slave to the lender, right? And you think about this right here, you can't get your financial freedom back, or you can give it to someone else. And I think about this right here as a landlord, and I teach this here, and I talk to my particular tenants in itself, right? One day I want you to be a homeowner. I don't want to necessarily having you pay rent all of your life. Because if you think about it, right, it says it right here, you can't get your financial freedom back. You can't get financial freedom by having to be a slave to someone else, right? And so our decisions oftentimes cause us to not have freedom, right? When you're in 20,000, 25, 30, $40,000 in credit card debt, and when we walk through these particular plans on a one-on-one basis, and we look at the amount of interest that you're paying on a monthly basis, it's very hard to pay off the credit card debt when that interest rate on that credit card is 23 to 25%, and you're paying $1,000, $800 a month in your credit card, and $400 of it is just going towards interest. It's going to be very hard to get off that slave field with the credit cards when we put ourselves further in debt based on the decisions that we make. So let's even discuss a little bit more. When we look at these stats right here, there's some older stats, and we have come a long ways from 2016 because in 2020 and 2021, we found that more Black Americans were investing into the particular stock market. But if you go over here and you look over here to the left and you look at the June 10th, right? And we look at the Black families here in 2016, 41% of Black families had such savings compared to 68% of the white families. And when we go right over here and you look at the second column here, the median Black household has a net worth of $17,600. This was in 2016 in comparison to the white household. Now, this wealth gap right here has got a little bit. It hasn't got water, but it's got a little bit closer because now we have more African Americans investing more than ever. Salute here to the members in here in the Let's Win financial community, because if you around me, you know that I'm speaking assets. You know that I'm speaking that things of what we're buying has to actually grow for us. Salute to the Let's Win financial community members, especially the ones that's actually on this call right here that's invested in this particular session here. You all own investment accounts and you all have done well. As Derek mentioned earlier in this particular case, thank you for allowing us to be into NVIDIA, right? Because we've seen what NVIDIA has done. So salute to you. And this wealth gap here has gotten closer, but we still have work to do because we still have more African Americans that's actually playing the lottery more than they're actually investing their dollars, right? And now we know that playing the lottery, you have a 50-50 chance, and not even a 50-50 chance, so you have a smaller chance of actually winning. But I can guarantee you by investing your dollars over a long term, you have a higher success rate. 85 to 90% are having gains than it will playing the lottery in itself. Then we go over here and we look at 86% of white adults earn at least 50,000 a year said they were invested in the stock market in 2015 compared to 67% of black adults who earn at least that amount. So, guys, when we think about the stock market, majority of African Americans they are investing in the stock market based on their 401k plans, which they're automatically enrolled in with their particular jobs. What they fail to realize or fail to do is continue to invest even more outside of the job. When it comes to an IRA account, maybe when it comes to a brokerage account, maybe when it comes to investing within their kids, maybe not even within the stock account, or maybe investing into a business, or maybe investing into real estate. The problem with us is, and when we look at this, and I'm gonna come back and I want to talk to you guys a little bit, right? Is we're scared to take risks. We will take on a new job before we would actually start a new business. We would start a new job before we even look at investing into real estate because we are afraid to take a risk. And taking a scared to take a risk is what actually puts us further behind. You look at our ancestors, they didn't necessarily have an opportunity to take risks because they were enslaved. That's the freedom that we have today from what they worked for us to be where we're at today is we actually have that opportunity to take advantage of what's ahead of us. I always say this all the time, and I want to say this again. Guys, the money has already been printed, but it's upon us to go and get the actual money, to learn to where we can actually get out of the system of just making money, where you go to a 9 to 5 job and you actually make money from the hours that you trade in. But we actually have to get to the point from making to actually multiplying. And when you start multiplying, that's where your actual dollars start multiplying for you without you having to trade time for it. So once we get to that particular part, and once we learn that system and what we've been learning here in the Let's Win financial system, what you guys are seeing in your investment portfolios and all the money that you've been making on your particular portfolios, that's what we call as far as learning how to multiply your money in itself. And so when you look at it, the year that we've had this year, the year that we had last year, and if you're in it 10, 15, 20 years, that's when you really start seeing massive gains in itself. I got one particular client here, just even over the last 2 months, have made over $120,000 just on their investment account, guys. That's what we're talking about. That's what people are making on an annual basis. That's what sometimes people are making within 2 years. So we want to get out of that cycle of just from making money, guys, and that's great to make money, but we want to be have that opportunity to where we can actually multiply our dollars in itself. That's the very most important piece here. So when we go back here and we talk further into our PowerPoint slide here, we want to talk about actually what keeps us in slavery. You look at this BMW SUV right here, all right, and it's very nice. It looks good, but this payment here is going to be a minimum, right? And it's going to probably be a lot more, but this is a $700 plus car payment, right? Where it's about 20% of your monthly income. I'm gonna say this, guys, just because you can buy it, that does not necessarily mean that you can afford it. Let me give you a prime example here. So over this weekend here, and I talked about this a little bit here, right? One of our close friends that we just kind of got connected with, right? She make $105,000 a year. I can say this because you guys don't know her, all right? And I'll never say names, but this particular person here made $105,000, just had a baby, uncertain about the job, uncertain about the child care, but just bought a $65,000 Acura MDX vehicle. All right. Simply because just had a new baby and needed an SUV car. Oh, by the way, the car in itself was a very nice car that she had previously, but need to be in an SUV because now she has 2 kids. The problem with this would be is, and I asked her, I said, "Well, how much is your car payment?" All right. That car payment, guys, is $900 per month. That's a big chunk of her income is what she's making. If you're uncertain about your child care and your child care is going to be expensive, we don't need to be making such type of decisions where we're going out and buying a $65,000 vehicle. All right. We probably could have stayed in the car, but those are the type of things that's actually keeping us in slavery, those decisions that we're actually making in itself. All right. So just because we can buy it does not necessarily mean, right, that we can afford it because that puts us further behind. Another thing that actually keeps us in slavery, just to kind of can keep going here, is this right here. It's these vacations. You will see here, right? People will be on social media, they will be on Instagram, they will be on Facebook. Do not get this twisted. They will be on Twitter, they will be on TikTok. Do not get this twisted. They're thinking that they got it because half of that trip, a majority of that trip, could be straight on a credit card. And guess what? They take not only just taking one trip per year, they taking multiple trips per year. But this is actually what keeps us in slavery because we want to show it for the gram. And if we don't have it, we're doing it. And thinking about it though, that's putting us further behind when we talk about the credit card debt and the interest that's being charged on these particular trips. Think about that. Not only are we just going on these trips, but think about the interest that's actually being applied on these trips if we don't have it. And it's sad to say that 60%, 70% of people today are living paycheck to paycheck. And if we had a particular savings account or we had investment accounts like we do here in the Less Win financial community, right? We can avoid that. All right. So when we think about the other thing that's actually keeping us in slavery is this right here. And women, I don't mean to put a woman pitch on here, but this is a lady here, right? And this is to be real and to be raw with y'all. This is what we face today. Credit card debt, going out here spending on Amazon, right? Don't know how much interest that we paying on our credit cards, but just swiping. And we do it on the base of, you know what? I deserve it. Well, I needed to go today because I had a rough day at work. This right here gonna make me feel better. It might make you feel better in the moment, but it won't make you feel better later once the credit card interest come in. And now that $100 shoes that you bought with a 20% interest rate, and now it's compounding, man, it makes it really tough. It makes it really tough. So we have to look at as far as this when we go back and look at our purchases and what we actually spending our money on. If you go back and you look at your last 10 particular purchases, and look at your bank account. And half the times we don't want to look at our bank account because we're waiting on Friday to get paid. Well, go back and look at your last 10 transactions. That would tell you what you value, whether it's an asset or whether it's a liability. And I'll say this right here. The African American community, guys, so I want you to stick this. I want you to write it down. I want you to plan it in your head. Because if you don't learn anything from this presentation today, the African American community, we have a purchasing power of $1.3 trillion on an annual basis. That's right, $1.3 trillion on an annual basis. And we spend majority of that particular money on liabilities instead of assets. And the reason why is because many of us are not financially educated enough to know what to spend our money on assets, but that cannot continue to be an excuse because there's too much financial literacy and education out here to allow us to continue to grow. And by us continuing to spend our dollars on liabilities on things that's actually not growing in value, that's continuing to keep us on the slave field when it comes to the wealth gap. Because you know what? The Caucasians, right? They're continuously putting their money into things that consistently grow in value. That's why I am always talking about assets over liabilities. That's why I'm consistently talking about doing your net worth every single month. because I don't care about what income that you make. You could tell me that you make $250,000 a year, but that does not necessarily matter if you don't have $250,000 a year. When you do your net worth every single month, you're looking at your assets. Are they continuing to grow in value in comparison to your liabilities? And so your net worth, guys, it will continue to work for you over time. So for us as African Americans, we got to get to the point of what are we spending our money on? And is the money that we spending it on, is it working for us? Is it working for us? That's the one thing that I want you to question yourself on and say, you know what? Some of these decisions I made in the past, that's okay and that's totally fine. But this is a new level, right? This is a new territory that we're actually going to be walking into. So remember that $1.3 trillion, dollars, where are we spending our money on? If we collectively got together as an African American community, right, we can actually have the Black Wall Streets. We can have more of them. We can have them in Central USA, right? We can have them on the West Coast of the USA. We can actually have them here in South Florida, right? We can actually have it here in DC. But we're so divided to the point of what Dr. Martin Luther King talked about of us coming together, but we're so divided to where we have egos, right? When you got a person here as a certified financial educator that's been passionate about financial literacy, and I have some people that came to me in 2021, and I've talked to them about open up an investment account, and they were saying, "Well, Sherwin, well, we just don't have it." Well, yeah, you got $700 a month to go spend on the car payment. Yeah, you got $300 a month to go spend on Amazon. Yeah, you got $500 a month to go shopping and eating out on a monthly basis. Yeah, you got that, but you don't have $100 a month to put into this investment account when you came to me in 2021. And now we're in 2024, and 3 years later, the money that you put in now could have tripled, but we don't necessarily have the time. We don't want to wait on it. We're in a microwave society. We want it now. That ain't how the system works. We got to plant the seed. And when we plant the seed, we got to water it, and then it's going to manifest over time. You understand that? That particular person I just talked about that made $120,000 over the last 2 months started with me when they had $167,000, right? And now that has grown to almost $700,000 now over a 6, 7 year period because it takes time. Y'all guys with me? This is important here. We're going to continue to keep going on here. So when we think about this right here, what keeps us in slavery? I want to talk about this right here. We as an African American community, we come very fearful when it comes to who we deal with. We have fears. We have certain things that generationally that we feel like we know it, but we don't. So my goal and my message to you today is do not fertilize your fears. And when it comes to fears, it don't necessarily have to be financially, because I can tell you I have fears. I got two fears that what many of you guys may not know about. I have a fear of dogs. When I go anywhere I go to somebody's house, I'm gonna always ask, do you have a dog? And I've had that fear all of my life. And the only way to stop that fear is to get a dog. And my wife eventually want a dog one day. My kids talk about wanting a dog, right? And the only way to do that, right, to when I say don't fertilize your fears, is if I continue to go in life and having that mantra of I don't want a dog or be around a dog, I will continue to fertilize my fears. When I say don't fertilize your fears, is take that step and take that opportunity that you've been wanting to do. That business that you've been wanting to open, that you don't know where and how to start. Hey, you got me to help you guide you through it. You just got to take that first step. Guys, it took me to make $100,000 at my job. It took me from the point of almost about 15 years to make $100,000 at my particular job. But when I open up the businesses, right? When I started Let's Win Real Estate, right? And we start buying those houses, right? When we start getting in that rent income, when we start seeing that equity in those particular properties that we was buying, right? In a year and a half, we had appreciation over $100,000 because we took that step, that necessary step, and that opportunity to do it. We limit ourselves when we don't fertilize our fears and we stay comfortable with that particular job and 9 to 5 and what it's paying, and it pays us every twice a month or every other week. You guys have heard me use this analogy before. It's like being on that bus stop and waiting on the next bus. That's what it's like when you have one source of income, when you waiting and waiting at that bus stop to take you to the next bus stop. But hey, look, when you drive in that car and you have multiple streams of income, you can go wherever you want. So take that step, take that next opportunity, and don't fertilize your fears, guys. Let's continue to do it because our ancestors worked too hard for us to be limited based on our thought process. Be desperate for growth. Be desperate for growth. When I say be desperate for growth, I mean that to the point of, hey guys, if you're in a situation right now where you're comfortable. Let me see. I was afraid of clowns because I saw Stephen King as a kid. Fear tells you no faith, right? I like that, Derek, right? So if you're in a situation where you're comfortable, you have no growth at this particular point because growth and comfort do not mix together. We always want to be in a state of growth. And I would just tell you this right here, guys. I am constantly, every single day wake up with a challenge. It could possibly look good on social media on the stuff that I may be posting, but I constantly face challenge. I constantly face a maybe a tenant reaching out to me about a certain issue, right? Where or I'm running this particular less win financial business in itself and helping people grow in finances, right? And the bigger that less win financial get, I gotta realize that I need different sources to help carry me through to be I can help you grow as a community because me as a certified financial educator, it's incumbent upon me to help you grow financially. And so I've reached out and I've now got resources. Right, this year's being recorded on the YouTube live, so I got a actually guy right now that's on this particular call, right? That's helping me do that. That's when I realized that you can't do things all by yourself. You got to get out of your comfort zone and you got to start realizing growth. You got to realize that if you try to do it by yourself, you can't do it everything once you want to do by yourself. So now you got to get in the right room and you got to get in the right circle. Because if you in that room by yourself, right, you only going to be limited to what you know. But if you get in the right room in the right circle, then you're going to face growth. We talk about Derek here, right? He answered those June 10th type questions. But Derek was in a bland investment account with some straight index funds, which don't get me wrong, it was cool. It has some growth to it. But I told Derek, I said, hey, look, man, we got some index funds, but then we can also add a small percentage of individual stocks to your portfolio. And Derek is a strong testament today. The fact that his portfolio has even grown even more simply because he's been in the right room in the right circle here at Let's Win Financial Community. I say this and I posted this here last week. I go and get my hair cut, and my particular barber has been cutting my hair for over 10 years. And I walked in, I saw him with this wrist on. I'm like, something on the wrap, his wrist wrapped up. I'm like, man, like, what's going on? I said, man, I'm just tired. Like, I've been cutting hair for a while, and I'm just tired. And I said, hey, man, him and I, we talk finances quite a bit. And I'm like, man, let me just take over your investment accounts, right? So he came to me. He had accounts at Charles Schwab. He had accounts at Robinhood. He had accounts at Vanguard. And I say, man, look, we're going to consolidate everything into one, right? And so we did that. And so now I manage his investments accounts, right? And it's been like this probably the last couple months that I just kind of just took over, right? And it came over to me, he had about $83,000 into it, right? And guys, I mean, he just crossed over $100,000. I was at Disney last week and I saw it. And I text him, I said, hey man, do you realize your investment accounts now have crossed over $100,000 now because he got in the right room in the right circle, and now he have a strategy to where his money is actually going to grow for him. All right. I had another guy. He's in Alaska. He worked for the federal government. He's been working with me. He's in the 401k plan, which is the TSP for the federal government. He has a health savings account that he did not have before he started working with me, right? So a health savings account is actually putting money towards your health care, and now you put that money to work where it can invest for you. Guess what? He texted me. He was so excited. He said, "Hey man, I'm waking up to $100,000 in investments." Guys, that's great because the first $100,000 is your hardest thing to do when investing. That's the hardest thing to do. But after $100,000, that's when compound interest even works even harder for you. But a journey to 1,000 miles start with the first step. All right. So let's go here and let's finish this out here, and we'll take some questions here at the end here. Your portion is your abundant. Your portion is your abundant. So when we think about this here, right? An acorn, if you start with an acorn eventually grows into a tree. So it's actually planting a seed. So I want you guys to say this right here, right? And as an affirmation to write this down every single day, your portion is abundant. Because right about now, when you think about it, the seeds that you plant every single month, whether it's towards your credit cards and paying them off, whether it's putting money towards your savings account, whether it's participating in $2,500 savings challenge here with Less Win Financial every single year, whether it's continuously to put a goal in to maxing out your Roth IRA every single year, whether it's the goal of continuing to increase percentages in your 401k accounts, right? Your portion is your abundance because what's going to happen is once you plant the seed, the rain is going to come, and one day it's going to be a big harvest. And your harvest season is going to be the season where not only it's going to feed you, but it's going to feed your family, it's going to feed your grandkids, it's going to feed your great grandkids. And in that particular case, then you're going to continue to feed generations to come because that's what we speak. We don't speak of lack, we speak of abundance in the Less Win financial community, right? That's why I tell you guys to continue to keep sowing the seed. Life is going to happen and you may get deviated, but continue to plant your seed, not just plant your seed, but plant it on good soil. All right. So your portion is your abundance. I want you to write that as an affirmation in your daily growth. All right. I'm almost done, guys. But I want to have some open communication right here. What company is this? It was up 12.6% this week. It was up 43.6% in the last month. It's been up 176% this year, and it's up 3,330% in the last 2 years. Can anybody tell me what company this is?
NVIDIA.
Who is it?
NVIDIA.
NVIDIA. NVIDIA, guys. NVIDIA. If you go, and I can guarantee you right about now, you can go around your family, and if you ask them who is NVIDIA, they don't even know. I'm gonna tell you why they don't know. Because anybody, I spoke to a young lady today, and her and her mom getting ready to join the Less Win financial community. She's a Latino chick. I asked her, I said, sweetie, I said, do you know who NVIDIA is? First of all, she only her job don't even offer 401k. So she said, sure, well, how can I start? I'm 30. I want to start a 401k, but my job don't offer it. But I want to, start, planning for retirement. We introduced her to a Roth IRA, but I said, well, sweetie, do you know what NVIDIA is, what it does? No. Guys, when I put this back up right here, right? This is what our ancestors, right? This is how the wealth gap got so further divided. Because guess what? If you look at this right here, our slavery right was the same way with our ancestors. They didn't have access to real estate. They didn't have access to the money that the white folks did back in the day because all they did was work. It's the same way when you're not in the right room and you're not in the right circle, you a slave, just like our ancestors, because you don't have access to the information. You don't have access to the resources. I got people in the Less Win financial community. Well, I posted this for a certain reason, put this side here for a certain reason, because this one company in the video has changed your family trajectory. It has. It changed your family trajectory. Not only just NVIDIA, but companies like Apple, companies like Microsoft. But this week was a very historic week because NVIDIA, guys, now is the largest publicly stock in the world. It has a lot of growth, as you see here. And guess what? The crazy part about it is, guys, it's just now starting. I read an article this morning where Dell and NVIDIA is partnering up and getting ready to start an AI factory. We thought Dell was way past gone, right? But they connected now with NVIDIA. NVIDIA has its hands in everything. NVIDIA is in crypto. Before NVIDIA is what it really was today, NVIDIA was in these computer chips and these video games and things of that nature. But its CEO is one of the greatest masterminds of all. He said, "Hey man, we need to get into the artificial intelligence space, and we need to develop these chips that make everything in this world smarter in itself." And the crazy part about this is most people are starting to buy Nvidia now because of a stock split. But the crazy part about it is we've been in Nvidia since November 2021. And that's why when you can log into your investment accounts and when you can see Nvidia is up 100%, when Nvidia is up 150%, that's why it looks crazy in your portfolio because using the right room and using the right circle to see 100% return, to see a 200% return, to see a 300% return. And the crazy part about it is you log in and you look at your kids' investment accounts that we've set up, and now they invest into NVIDIA. Now they up 100%. They up 80%. But guess what, guys? When we think about June 10th, our ancestors, our ancestors didn't have access to this information because they worked in slavery. We keep ourselves in slavery when we don't know what's going on with our finances, when we don't know about our NVIDIA, when we don't know what our retirement accounts are investing into, we just contributing towards it. It could be going straight in a bucket, in a hole, and we don't know what it's tied to. So it's very important for us to stay educated. I challenge you guys to continuously to be on the Let's Win Financial Group page and the daily financial information that I'm posting. It's essential because you're learning things that you've never learned before that they should have been taught in schools. Department of Education, I ain't blow myself up, but they can go on this page here and use a lot of this information that I'm teaching and put it into the school system. That's right. That's right. So for us guys, we got to continue to be in the right room, be in the right circle. And guys, do not let life in itself get in the way of your goals, which is distractions, right? I want to say this, you cannot have exceedingly abundance with limitations. Sure, when I can't do that. Sure, when I ain't got that right now. With that limited mindset and belief, you will continue to live in a world of lack. I don't believe in lack. I believe in abundance. And then by having it set in your mind first, we always on the fact of it starts in your mind. Once it starts in your mind, then you execute. And then once you execute, that's you taking action. And once you take action, now we accelerate. So what does that mean? So that means that that 30-year-old young lady today, where we're going to work with her and her mom, we're going to help them get out of debt. We're going to open up their Roth IRA account. Now it's planning in her head based off the information that I discussed with her today. Next Tuesday, we're going to get together. We're going to open up that Roth IRA account. We're going to take action on that. We're gonna link it to that bank account, that Roth IRA to that bank account. Then we're gonna set that investment strategy for her. And then she's 30. And then what's going to happen is we're just going to accelerate it over time. We're gonna accelerate it over time, and we're gonna make her to where she have $1 million inside of that Roth IRA account. And well, guys, let me just say this: a lot of people don't know this about your Roth IRA accounts. Most people think, man, I can't touch that money, Sherwin, until I turn 59 and a half. I shared with a young lady yesterday that the money in your Roth IRA account, you have access to whatever you have put into that account anytime that you want without paying taxes or penalties. I don't like saying it because I don't want people taking the money out the account because that takes away from your investments growing over time. But that's the financial education that we need to know because a Roth IRA is like a savings account on steroids. You're actually putting your money into it, and not just putting your money into it. We got to put it to work because if you just put the money in there, it ain't working. It's sitting in that cash account. Well, let's give you 5%. Guys, we're doing 15, 10, 20% average per year once we put these dollars to work. So I want to leave you with this here, and we're going to take these questions here at the end. I want to leave you with this here, right? This is important here. I want to leave you with this. I always talk about this. Always talk about this. Always, guys. How many employees do you have working for you? When we think about June 10th and we think about these slaveries and on that slave field, I think about, man, the ancestors, man, my dad and granddad and his dad and his dad and his dad. What was life like for them on that slave field to where they have to wake up every day and don't have freedom, but going on that slave field and working every single day, slaving for the white man? and his family's in captivity. And I think about today in itself that we have the freedom to go out and have multiple streams of income to where we don't necessarily just have to work a 9 to 5, but we can have a 9 to 5. We can have rental properties. We can have a business or businesses. We can have all of that. We have that opportunity today to do that. We have that chance. We have that opportunity to take advantage of that. But I challenge you today, how many employees do you have working for you? When I say employees, that means that your 9 to 5, your Roth IRA account, your HSA account, your kids' college plans, your brokerage account, your rental properties, your businesses that you have, right? How many employees do you have working for you? Because if you only have that job, that 9 to 5 job, you got two employees that work for you. There's one the job that gives you the income, and it's your 401k, which is your retirement. That's your two employees. Minimum, you should have 7 employees. One from your job, your 401k account, your Roth IRA, your HSA. I believe everybody should own some type of business that's going to help you for your taxes. You should have some type of college plan for your particular kids and a brokerage account, which is a non retirement account. Guys, don't limit yourself. Don't put limitations over you because that ain't how God created you. God created us in abundance. And so as we celebrate Juneteenth, this is a day of celebration. And so we're going to celebrate. We're going to continue to put and not only just make, but we're going to multiply. All right. We're going to continue to multiply. I want to say this right here. I am responsible for a community of wealth building. And wealth building does not necessarily mean investing, but wealth building starts with knowing what you have incoming on a monthly basis towards your finances, knowing what you have outgoing, which is your expenses on a monthly basis, knowing if you're in debt, how much debt you actually paying, and then a plan to actually get out the debt, and then a whole wealth plan. Then say, okay, well, if I got $100,000 now, if I got $10,000 now, where would that be 5 years from now? Where would that be 10 years from now? Where would that be 15 years from now? Having that wealth plan to know where you're going. All right. I'm done, guys. So I'm going to take some questions here. It's been a great session. But we want to take some questions here. This is going to also be recorded. Want to leave this last little message here, and then we're going to be done here. This last message here, right? By Rosa Parks. What really matters is not whether we have problems, because we all have problems. I don't care if you're LeBron James or Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant, as the late that we know, rest in peace. But how we go through them, we must keep going on to make it through whatever we are facing. And I share this here today is on this last statement right here. We must keep going on to make it through whatever we may be facing. Because today you may be facing a situation that's limiting you from where you really need to be, that's keeping you in slavery. But I come here today to tell you that you got somebody here that's going to hold your hand, especially when it comes to finances, because that's what I'm here to do, to serve you, to walk you through, to help you get through, to give you a beacon of light in the midst of the darkness that you may be facing. And we're going to ride this together. And we're going to ride it into the sunset. And we're going to ride it to where the decisions that you make, your future self will be appreciative of what you made. Your kids will be appreciative of the decisions that you made. Your grandkids will be appreciative of the decisions that you made. Your great grandkids will be appreciative of the decisions that you made. Your great grandkids will be appreciative of the decisions that you made. That's what we want to do, guys. Let's continue to grow. Let's continue to build. Let's continue to take action. And most importantly, let's continue to win and accelerate. All right, I'm done. I want to take some questions and then we'll go from there. Any questions based on anything that I discussed today? Or as we know, we always discuss any financial type of topics. So, and we'll take a couple questions here before we end. Any questions?
I
Any
have a
questions?
question.
Don't go ahead, Derek.
What is the difference between a deductible IRA and a non-deductible IRA?
Oh, it's very, very good question. Very great question. I don't really talk about this a lot. But here's a prime example. There, if you work for a job and your job to necessarily offer a 401k retirement plan, then if you open up a traditional IRA, then that traditional IRA, whatever you contribute towards it, it will lower your taxable income because your job don't necessarily offer you a 401k. If your job offers you a 401k and you contribute towards a traditional IRA, you don't get a tax deduction. That's why I always say do the Roth IRA account. So that's your major difference. That's the key. If you have a job and it does not offer a 401k, if you do contribute towards a traditional IRA, that's the only time that I recommend an IRA, traditional IRA, because those contributions will lower your taxable income while at the same time help you save for retirement. But you got to pay taxes on it when you turn 59 and a half. That's why I never really recommend a traditional IRA. It's always a Roth IRA over a traditional IRA.
So a non-deductible IRA is a traditional IRA?
So non-deductible is a Roth IRA. A deductible IRA is a traditional IRA if your job does not offer a 401k. You got it?
Thank you.
My pleasure. Any more questions? Any more questions? This has been a great session. Are there any opportunities that you know of for pooling resources to own real estate? This is let me see here. So I'm just reading this here. Hold on, let me open this up here. Let me see. Are there any opportunities that you know of for pulling resources to own real estate if we aren't in a position to start our own and start somewhere? That's a very great question. So, guys, there is something called a REIT, a real estate investment trust, right? So, by you not necessarily owning physical real estate, you can be putting money into a big pot of money, which is called a real estate investment trust and Fundrise. Fundrise is a great platform for that. If you want to invest in real estate, you don't necessarily have all the capital, you can start that. And what happens is with Fundrise, they'll pay you on a monthly based on your dividend. The only thing I don't necessarily like about Fundrise is your capital that you put into it. You can't necessarily pull from it. They'll put like a 3 year or 5 year. They put like a cap on it when you can actually touch your principal itself. All right. But that's one way that I can think of. If you don't necessarily have all the capital to buy a physical property in real estate, you can buy REITs. You can actually go online as well and buy REITs, right? There's another stock symbol called APTS. That's where you can go and buy apartment buildings. That pays on a monthly basis. So there's quite a few REITs out there, but you guys can get with me. I'll also maybe do a REIT investment class. We're actually getting ready to do a stock investment class. I haven't done one in a while. And then we can put that into play. We'll do like a 3-day investment class and we'll add a REIT real estate investment trust. You can buy those, and that's one form of way of investing to real estate. All right. Let me see here. Let me take some other questions here. Derek, I like this right here. You said trading time for money keeps us in the W-2 hustle. Get out of the rat race by investing in assets, not liabilities. That's by Robert Kiyosaki. I love that quote there. I love that. All right. Any more questions here before we close it out? Any more? Any more questions? I want to say this here, man. I want to say this, and I'm a close. I see a gentleman on here. He just started. He got recommended uh, by another Less Win financial member, and this guy I commend him because every day I see him on the Less Win Financial Group page. He's a single brother. He got 2 kids. He got 2 girls. We got into his 401k account and we had readjusted it. We set up a Roth IRA account for him. And he set up accounts for his daughter. And this brother here, he works a lot. But I see him on this call today. That's a brother where I say, when I talk about your portion is your abundance, things may seem small now, but if you stay in a steady rhythm of small growth, you're going to eventually see your abundance. So, good brother, I just want to tell you things may seem small now, but continue to stay on the track that where you're at now. And it's just a matter of time where you actually going to see your abundance. All right. So, salute to you, brother. I appreciate you for being on this call, investing into your future, because that's for every user that's on this particular or every particular member that's on this call here, right? You're actually investing into your future. All right. With that, guys, be well, be blessed. And as always, let's continue to win. We'll be seeing you guys next week. This will also be recorded. It'll be on our Let's Win Financial YouTube page. And we also should be recorded as well live on our Let's Win Financial group page at the moment now, where you can go back and see that as well. All right. Be well, be blessed, and let's enjoy this day, guys. Have a blessed one. All right.